Welcome to today's episode of the Prowler podcast. My name is John Shipley, my friend, colleague, fellow dog day of training camp attendee, Gus Logue. Gus, how the heck are we doing?
We're doing good. We're definitely in the dog days, though. We're at the point where we're losing track of which day it is. The sun, we actually had like a pretty solid start weather-wise. I always like talking about the weather there, but it was kind of overcast for a little bit, but no longer. We are very much in under the Florida heat now. Like I'll talk to other beat reporters. I'll talk to like Jags cameramen. Everyone is like, bro, I'm ready to be done. So
Yeah,
ready for at least preseason football. At least like I'm excited to get the first preseason game into the books.
we're very lucky to do what we do. I mean, we could be digging ditches, doing whatever instead of watching, people play a game. However, when you're in the, August heat watching Joey Aguilar throw a pass to Patrick Herbert and the Bacon Sun on the far field, you get a little delirious and you start wondering exactly what to do.
How exactly did I get here? Both literally and not literally.
Dude, only like 7 practices left in training camp. I looked at it earlier. Yeah, so they obviously they will get back from playing the Saints. So I think they'll have practice again on Monday. So they'll practice Monday and Tuesday. Have a joint practice with the Panthers next week. Play the Panthers in the preseason game, and then 2 joint practices with Tampa Bay, and like another practice or 2 that week, and then training camp's over. We're almost done. We are almost done, my friend. We are. I feel like you and I say this every year. We're so excited for it to get here, and then definitely once you get to the double digit of days, then you start to squint.
Yeah, I think honestly, like the joint practice is what keeps me going a little bit. I mean, I'm definitely excited for the first preseason game just to get the first game here. But I was talking to someone about like the Jags schedule this month and like what it looks like, and like the training camp practice that's going to be here. I mean, there was one like that happened right before we started recording this in New Orleans, obviously, but the one that's going to be at the old or the new, still newish Miller Electric Center. I'm really looking forward to being there in person because even though it's maybe not quite the same as a preseason game, we probably can have more takeaways from that. Just to be able to be so close to the action is a pretty neat and usually information providing experience.
Yeah, no, like you mentioned, joint practice in New Orleans with the Saints. We are not out there. We'll be at the ones with the Panthers and Buccaneers. If you go by certain New Orleans Twitter accounts, it was the greatest show on turf, and Saints that won't complete a pass all year long. Practices are training camp practices, what they are. I mean, joint practices, nothing gets fans riled up more before the season than joint practices. It can be a complete indictment on whether or not. I mean, I remember last year, Dolphins fans talking about how good their defense was about to be because it was frustrating Trevor Lawrence. And Dolphins won, a handful of games last year. I mean, my entire stance on training camp, Gus, is like the entire thing matters when like you stack up the days and you collect them together and there are patterns and trends. That matters. And I mostly think it's because it's just how much social media has brought it our brain, myself included. We're so reactionary that every practice has to mean something. Every practice, like, oh, if they lose a game in October, well, you can trace that back to this practice in August where, they look like crap. And that's just, I just found that's just not the case at all. But joint practices, they get people going, man.
They do. It's competition. It's real football. I feel like Liam is pretty funny. Like we talk about how truthful and just like straightforward he is during press conferences. He basically thinks that like they're like playing a different sport until the pads come on and there's another team on the grass. It's like, yeah, like the individual drills, like the one-on-one, like that's cool and all, but that's not real football. And so just excited for real football to be on the horizon.
We got a good PO'd Liam press conference before they left for New Orleans. Their last, what was it, on Tuesday? Their last real practice before they left. And the defense, and you and I talked about this last time we recorded. It's kind of become a theme of training camp to this point. Offensive line injuries. My take on it, Gus, and you can give me yours. I don't think it's anything to be. I think it can be concerning in the short term if you care that. I think I saw Chase Young said he had 6 sacks today in practice. If you care about that, then the injury should concern you right now. Like that is something that will tangibly impact your mood. But I mean, week 1 is still 31 days away, I believe, 32 days away, something like that. And until like you're just closer to that and the injuries are stacked up then, like, yeah, then if you get into September something and Walker Little still hurt, Patrick McCary still not doing anything, Cole Van Landen is still on the PUP list, then I think you should definitely panic. But I mean, where I am with the offensive line right now, I guess, is just that, I mean, they're essentially killing time because they have to be out at practice. But what you see now is going to be nothing like what you actually see when all the pieces are healthy, right?
Yeah, exactly. We don't have to click the pan button because it's not like they have season-ending injuries or like guys who are going to be on long-term IR even. Like hypothetically, everyone could be pretty healthy by week 1, and so that's definitely just a hypothetical. But the Jags were also kind of like built for this. Like Cohen has talked, I feel like multiple times about how in 2022 for the Rams, they had kind of a disastrous season under McVay because they had like 12 different starting offensive line combinations after getting like really not necessarily lucky, but just having good health on the offensive line the year before. Andrew Whitworth retired. And so I think a point for Cohen, Gladstone, the whole Jags organization now is to like make sure we have depth. Like we can talk about like maybe a lack of star power. Like Anton Harrison is the only one you could like argue is a blue chip talent on the offensive line as of right now. But it's not like they got rid of Macari or Cleveland or Chuma or like any other pieces this offseason. Like they retained a lot of guys, and then they added Pregnon in the draft. Hopefully there'll be development from young guys, etc. But they put themselves in a spot where like they should be okay even when injuries do end up happening, and hopefully they'll be at full strength entering week 1 too.
I guess that's the one place where when it comes to offensive line, I actually disagree with you guys. Like I agree that it's not to worry about week 1, but I know James has talked about the importance of building the offensive line because of, them being scarred by that 2022 season. And I understand that, yeah, they have spent, 3 draft picks, I think, the last 2 years in offensive linemen. They signed Hainsey and Edoga, obviously, so on and so forth. But I don't know if there's any offensive line in the NFL that is still like good and like when injuries hit, because we're like now seeing what their offensive line would kind of look like, with injuries. Wyatt Milam at right tackle, Jonah Monheim at one of the guard spots. I believe one of the reports from practice today was their line was from left to right: Anton, Ezra, Hainsey, Monheim, and Milam. I mean, that's probably a bottom 5 line in the NFL, right? Like if you have to play with that line. Right. So and I don't think that's a Jaguar problem. I just think every team in the NFL would be screwed if they get a couple injuries. So I think for as much as they've been intentional about trying to make sure it doesn't happen, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things that's ultimately inevitable.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with that counterpoint. I think that like the offensive line is definitely one of the just larger things that you look at with this team entering the season. And it's a pretty big question mark of like, especially if like a lot of people I feel like are like, oh yeah, they'll be like good enough to potentially win a Super Bowl the way that like the Seahawks were good enough last year. But like if good enough is kind of what you're striving for, that's not a great position to be in.
Did you see this was like a week ago. This was before Walker Little got hurt. It was like one of those ESPN articles, like 5 trades we'd like to see. And very randomly, one of them was Walker Little to the Arizona Cardinals for a 6th round pick.
I saw a different article that said it was a lot earlier in the offseason, but it said like Walker Little to the Browns for a pick since they were doing so much reshuffling.
They need Walker Little back from injury like ASAP, right?
Yeah, he's a very important swing tackle. At the very least, they need they need 3 playable guys at tackle, and so you can't get rid of Ezra just for nothing, especially just a 6th round draft pick.
Is Wyatt Milam a guard or a tackle? Or is Wyatt Milam?
Yeah, that
is that
I'm unsure about all of those.
Yeah, are we at the point now where until we see him do it in a game, like it's probably unfair to just say, oh, we can assume he's going to be good, right? Like, no, he probably needs to show it like in a regular season setting to really get the kind of benefit of the doubt, right?
Totally. And I think I got a little bit excited by like Milam and other guys when I saw them getting like first team reps, but like need to remind ourselves that like just because they're getting first team reps doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be first team players or even that like they're even going to be close to it. It's just like challenging those guys, putting them in a different, tougher position. And so, like you said, we need to see them actually winning in those spots rather than just being placed in those spots during training camp.
Who's the worst player you've ever seen get a first-team rep in Jacksonville? I'm going to say either Carlos Hyde. Tavon Austin was a pretty bad one.
Yeah, he came to mind.
Cedric Ogbuehi. I don't. You know who I'm talking about. That's a pretty good 3.
Trying to think through their cornerbacks. Oh, I was not a very big fan of Damian Wilson, the linebacker.
Yeah, Damian Wilson was so bad. What were they doing starting Damian Wilson in 2021? The rest of the team was such a mess. Like, Jahad Ward was one of your more important defensive line players. The rest of the team was such a mess, and Urban was such a mess that nobody paid attention to Damian Wilson. And I think part of it was also he was replacing Joe Schobert. So nobody was really
dude, Joe Schobert. Wow. Oh, my gosh. Man. Remember Joe Giles Harris? Was that his name?
We can remember on here.
Those were some dog days for sure.
We can remember on here. Remember no, not gonna. I've taken it upon myself to be more reserved and less flappant of the mouth. So I will reserve from taking that one a step further like I intended to. All right, guys. So since we're not in New Orleans for joint practices, Jaguars, Liam Cohen said, won't have their starters play on Saturday in the preseason game. Who are some guys that you're looking for, who will get snaps in the preseason game? Who do you think needs to have a big week, whether it's somebody who maybe hasn't risen to the challenge so far, whether it's somebody who they have impressed so far and now they just kind of need to do it in the game setting? Who are some guys that you're kind of focusing on?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the latter, the one that you just said. Someone that we've been talking about really all offseason or during offseason programs and practices. And that second-year pro Jabbar Muhammad, who was barely even on kind of my radar by the end of last season or the beginning of this offseason. But at this point, I think he can carve his way into sub packages, like we kind of mentioned on the last podcast, and maybe not nickel, but dime, obvious third down pass situations. But right after I said that, he kind of shoved it in my face the very next practice because he had a rep on the boundary and had a PBU against Brian Thomas Jr. I was like, okay, dang, maybe he can just continue to ascend and do even more and more than I expect. But he's gotten a decent amount of run against first team receivers in recent weeks. And so I'm really interested to see what it looks like in a game setting and just whether he's able to keep up his practice performance in those settings and truly be able to carve out a role, even if it's not full time, but on the defensive side of the ball during the regular season.
He's not even a bubble guy anymore, is he? He's
nah.
pretty firmly made the roster. I mean, so right now in New Orleans, I'm obviously again not there, but Jordan Lewis hasn't practiced the last couple of days. I'd assume that was probably again the case against the Saints. I mean, that would make Jabbar Muhammad cornerback 4, cornerback 3 when Travis Hunter's with the offense. He's really flown up the depth chart. I mean, Christian Braswell's been injured. That's kind of knocked him down a peg. But I mean, Jabbar Muhammad, I think it's very clearly going to be a part of the secondary. And I think, like you said, is going to play. Not a lot, but I mean, Christian Braswell played however many snaps last season. I absolutely think Jabbar Muhammad can be that. I think, specifically the guys who are going to play in this game, a lot of the rookies, I think this will be their biggest chance for reps. So I'd say, the 3 defensive line rookies that they have, Zach Durfee, Wesley Williams, Albert Regis. I think Liam Cohen, nobody was expecting Albert Regis to come in and be Marcel Darius as a rookie. But I think even whatever expectations people had for him as a third-round pick have probably been tempered by now. Liam Cohen saying on Tuesday that more or less that, he's coming along, slowly but surely, saying that he had a few practices that weren't to their or his standard, so on and so forth. But that interior defensive line is a hard position to adjust to as a rookie. Pointing out that Devon Hamilton is in the 7th or 8th season of his career, and he's kind of just now hitting his peak, so it takes time. So I think that clearly says, okay, Albert Regis is probably defensive tackle 5, and probably somebody who don't get your hopes up is going to be ending up on any rookie of the year list or anything by the end of the season. And then Durfee, he's been banged up a little bit, but when he's been healthy, he's been impressive even against the first team. Wesley Williams hasn't gotten like as many reps just because of, obviously you have Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, and then it looks like BJ Green's a third defensive end, and then Danny Strigow right there with him, and Durfee's impressed. And then Gardeck is going to get edge reps. It just feels like this will be one of the first extended chances to really see Williams get reps since he's kind of joined the team.
Williams is definitely going to be the one that I keep my eye on the most. I feel like Durfee has definitely shown some like fun flashes that you hope to continue to see in preseason games, but I kind of keep forgetting that Williams exists, and so I want to be reminded that he's going to be a truly like impactful player on defense and on special teams. And like I feel like special teams would be a good place to like look at the film and see like effort guys, because like guys like that can kind of sway roster decisions. And so he's like a guy that you would think is going to be just like one of the lunatics that are all over the field, like the way that we saw from LaQuint Allen starting in preseason last year. And so I feel like he's a candidate to at the very least be that type of guy, and hopefully it's going to be a lot more than that too.
Do any of those three players play 150 defensive snaps this year?
Definitely not Durfee, just because it'd be like a niche role. I feel like like I could see him being on the field, but I feel like Williams is kind of like more of like an all around guy where like he could be a jack of all trades and like set up guys on stunts and be effective as a thumper in the run game and just like be a solid enough role player to just like quietly be on the field a lot.
Okay.
But that's definitely very much like a kind of projection based on his college profile. Like I'd very much like to see something on the field during the preseason to back that up.
Because I'd argue all these guys I think are clearly making the team. I think the only rookie, we've talked about this before, who I think is in danger of not making the team is Parker Hughes. And even I think he has a chance with all the linebacker injuries, but the preseason is when BJ Green and Danny Strigow really stood out last season. And I really do, believe that Liam and them do take the preseason seriously from this is your chance to kind of stand out type of thing, just because of how they're clearly evaluating each rep. Like it definitely felt like the Doug Peterson era Jaguars did not care about the preseason. And I'm not saying the Liam Cohen era cares about the preseason, but it does seem like they maybe weigh the value of, a guy who stands out in the preseason a little bit more than past regimes. I'll give you another one. Josh Cameron as a returner.
Ooh,
don't think
nice.
Parker Washington's obviously not going to play. I'd be shocked if Bayshaw didn't play as well. Whether it's punt returner, whether it's kick returner, I'd like to see Josh Cameron, just in some of those live reps. He has the profile of a guy who could excel at both. He was a very effective punt returner at Baylor. Didn't really return many kicks, but he has the skill set that would translate to doing it, with the NFL style of kickoff returns. And the preseason is when guys kind of make their mark on special teams. I'm obviously interested to see him on offense as well. I think he's been, tell me if I'm wrong, between the two rookie receivers, both have impressed. I think Josh Cameron's been the most impressive one.
Yeah, I agree. I told someone literally earlier today that like CJ Williams kind of had a lot of the hype like through OTAs, I feel like, and then entering in the beginning of training camp. But I feel like, and he's still continued to play well for absolutely. Like I feel like they take turns making big plays, but I feel like Josh Cameron is like making bigger plays and also like looks good in the return game as well as getting talked up by special teams coordinator Heath Farwell. Like someone, I genuinely forget who it was, said to me after a Josh Cameron catch, like that he looks like Andre Johnson. And I immediately was like, come on now. Like Andre Johnson's like a Hall of Famer. Like this guy's a rookie. Like, come on. Like that's just very much like throwaway training camp sideline quote. But like at the same time, like I kind of like understand why I was said he's just like a pretty impressive, has a pretty impressive physical stature. He's ripped. He like just snags the balls out of the air like they're tennis balls. Like he really attacks the ball like Anquan Bolden, like Larry Fitzgerald, those like old school types. And so again, I see what the person was talking about when they said Andre Johnson, even if it's ludicrous to give him that type of comparison. he's been flashing is basically what I'm trying to say. He looks really good. And so, especially since we can return him, see extended opportunities for him in the return game, I think that's a great call.
You're going to get clipped like the JJ McCarthy guy. It was like, my bonanza comp is John Elway. And then it pans to the rest of the guys, and they're all like Jim Halpert facing it.
I'm putting it on someone else. It wasn't even me who said it, but I was like, the kombucha meme. I was like, no. Well, no.
Well, I mean, he really, like you said, I think the last show we were on, I looked up his mock draftable web to see like his hand size percentile. I looked at it and was like, wow, that's cool. And then never mentioned it to you the whole time. 94th percentile, man. He's got some mitts,
too.
Yeah, he does. All right. Give me one more guy that you're looking for on Saturday. I know you're going to be locked in. I know you're going to give me over-unders on Carter Bradley and Joey Aguilar and Austin Trammell anytime touchdowns. Come on, give me one more good one for Saturday.
I don't really have any like prop bets up that alley per se, but I am interested in looking at the quarterback position for sure. Like whether it's Joey Aguilar, who quietly hasn't necessarily looked good, I would say, but I think he's like improved throughout camp. And so I'm extremely cautiously optimistic that we'll see something cool out of him during the preseason. Nick Mullins, I'm like hoping is going to lead a pretty efficient attack. Like Cohen said after joint practice today that like basically the number one thing he's looking for is just like a functional offense or a clean offense, one that doesn't have like pre-snap penalties and any errors. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for from Nick Mullins. I feel like is if he can lead that offense and if they just like look smooth essentially, and then just looking for literally anything from the backup quarterbacks to see what they have. Because it's preseason football, so I'll be following the ball a little.
Your tune has changed on Miss Aguilar a bit.
Well,
you know what I'm talking about.
I mean, that one pass is definitely stamped in my memory forever. But I don't know. I kind of after that I was like, okay, I never need to see you in a red jersey ever again. But now I'm like, I haven't necessarily like changed that thing, but I'm like, okay, I'll see you in a preseason game. Let's see.
I see you. I mean, he's got a really live arm. He's a really big guy. I will say, has had some of the funniest reps I've seen. He had one where it's like a QB keep. He keeps it when he's running downfield. He just trips over his.
This is not going to be the defense to like be aggressive against though, because he's going to like want to like air it out. He definitely has like a cannon. He's like an extremely poor man's Josh Allen, I think you could say, like an extremely poor man's Wyoming Josh Allen. But like Brandon Staley like loves all the too high shells and like makes you have a patient attack. And so I feel like Nick Mullins could go like 17 for 20 for 150 yards, and then like Aguilar could throw 3 picks into double coverage.
Yeah, it was about 5 minutes before this podcast that I relearned, because I'm pretty sure I learned it before, that Brandon Staley was coordinating things over there.
Yeah, the Saints defense is like one of like the football hipster nerds' like favorite units this offseason. Like they had like second half improvement. Like Chase Young was among a lot of guys that like seem to like really up their game. So I don't know. It seems like a pretty mid defense to me, but there's some buzz around Staley's unit. I'll give him that.
We logged at least like 5 podcast hours combined on saying the Jaguars should trade for Chase Young once upon a time, didn't we?
Man, you're aging us, I feel like, but
2023, I believe.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure
it's been that long that we've been begging the Jags to get another pass rusher.
I'm pretty sure I said at some point give him like a first or a second, and he's gone for not that in the times that he's traded or signed. That's good stuff. All right, moving past the preseason game. Actually, I'll give you one more in the preseason game. How much do you think the preseason can help Grant Udinski? Like, I don't think it matters. Like, I don't think it will impress anybody of the offense. Like, oh, Grant Udinski, you look good against the New Orleans Saints in the first week of the preseason, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, when he gets hired, he'll have no play calling experience in his career other than these 3 preseason games and 1 preseason game against Miami last year, which that game wasn't, as far as preseason standards go, an unmitigated disaster offensively. How much can Grant kind of gain, you think, from getting this chance to call plays in the preseason?
I think he can gain more than he can lose. I mean, I could be off base about this, but to me, like he could kind of like just BS his way like out of poor preseason performances. Like, oh, we were just like trying a bunch of new stuff. Oh, we were just focused on doing this one thing. Like, obviously, we wanted to win. We want to put points on the board, but we were focused on like getting so many other things right as opposed to just like going out and playing necessarily. But hopefully he doesn't have to like come up with excuses and stuff like that. I think that he could just excuse his way out of it. But if they end up averaging 30 points a game during the preseason, like I'm sure that that'll be like something on his like little resume, basically.
I in the wake of this week's events in Minnesota with JJ McCarthy and Kyler Murray, feels like Grant, things kind of worked out for him, right? Getting that job in Jacksonville, getting the hell away from there.
The KOC fall was pretty big time. He was like everyone's favorite new hotshot, and now all of a sudden it's like, yeesh.
Yeah, no, he's my cat. He hated that take completely. But agreed. I think you put it well. Grant has more to gain than to lose from it. I think it's a cool thing to see Liam, kind of do what McVay has always done, what other coaches do, and kind of let other guys get that perspective. How about Kevin O'Connell for Jaguars offense coordinator in 2027?
I would love it. I mean, I feel like people really like O'Connell because he has like a lot of vertical downfield concepts. It's like not just a high scoring, but just like a very productive offense. And so I feel like that would kind of help lean into the things that the Jags passing offense was good last year. Like they caught Jacoby and Brenton back, and you kind of think of those guys as kind of like possession or underneath receivers. But like Lawrence was second or third in the NFL in average depth of target or average depth of throw, like during their like 8-0 run or somewhere in that span. And so they were chucking it. And I think that Kevin O'Connell really likes to chuck it in his offense. So I think it would be a pretty good marriage.
Will anybody but Shane Waldron be the Jaguars' next offense coordinator?
Ooh. I mean, I think it would have to be like someone like KOC. Because like here's the question. Is Shane Waldron ever going to get another like OC job outside of Jacksonville? Like,
why not?
Hey, I don't know. He was an OC twice before. I guess he could get a shot for sure.
Offensive coordinator.
Yeah, good point. No, you're right. I think to like keep him in the building, I could see them promoting him.
Not hiring Nate Hackett is probably the best thing that's ever happened to this team, right?
Yeah. I mean, was it on the board?
Wanted them to hire him in 2022.
Yeah, I fell into the wagon a little bit there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh God.
I talked myself into it, but it was after the first wave of hires, I think, and it was like Nate Hackett genuinely seemed like one of maybe if not the best, just like one of the most likely guys to be the coach. And so I think I just talked myself into it a little bit, and very soon realized how much of a mistake that was.
You watched the training camp video where he did the Anchorman impressions?
Yeah, basically. I was like, this guy's kind of funny on mic'd up. Sure.
Yeah, that's a good bit. All right. Final thing, we'll kind of kick around, Gus, before we hit the hay for another week or so. I mean, we'll obviously have more to talk about next week, with joint practices being at the Miller Electric Center. But last thing for us to kind of touch on, the official depth chart was released for the first time. Normally these are really uninteresting, and I'd even venture to say this one still teeters towards that. But there were a few interesting things. Anton Harrison was listed as left tackle. Never seen that before. I mean, that was a new one for Anton. Travis Hunter last year was listed as a starting slot receiver. This year listed as a backup receiver to Brian Thomas Jr. And last year was listed as a backup corner, and this year is listed as a starting corner. I mean, those two things immediately, popped off to me. Gus, I guess I'll just ask you two questions at once. Does Anton start week 1 at left tackle? And then 2, is Travis Hunter just the appointed CB1 now? Like, do you think there's any more debate? Like, is it really actually Buster Brown or something like that? Or give me the verdict, Gus. Give me the Logue verdict.
Well, for cornerback, I actually think Buster is like the cornerback one. I think he was clearly that last season, and I think it's carried over this offseason. I think certainly like the hope is that Travis Hunter will emerge as the number one cornerback and like be the Pro Bowl caliber type of guy that he's been billed as for the past couple of years. But it's definitely been like there's been a learning curve for him for sure, because it's just his second NFL offseason, his first full NFL offseason. He's recovering from an injury. He was playing two different positions last year, mostly focusing on the offense. He's got a new positions coach in Arujo too. So I think that it was honestly more so a debate low-key of like whether it was going to be like him or like Jarian Jones / Jordan Lewis as like the number 2 cornerback, or at least the guy that was going to be on the field the second most behind Monteric. But him being the like a starting cornerback alongside Monteric Brown and then Jordan Lewis, I think like that and Anton at left tackle, to answer both of your questions, I'm like that a little bit puts the nail in the coffin for me, where it just like confirms my priors, I guess. And so even with the caveat of like this is an unofficial depth chart and shouldn't really matter at all, it's like, yeah, that's kind of, if I was like drawing a depth chart, that's probably what I would have done. And so it's confirming priors again.
We like confirming priors around here.
We definitely do.
We have there's a prior. I looked at confirm it. So to you, week 1 starting offensive line: Anton, Ezra, and Hainsey, Milam Little, pending Walker being back in time.
What do you mean by back in time? This injury makes no sense. He's not injured.
Walker Little?
I thought you said Macari.
No, Milam with Little, not Macari.
So you think it's going to be like one of the two? Yeah, I feel like Little does make more sense.
I'll be honest, I completely forgot to factor in Patrick Macari. I haven't seen him do anything.
Dude, yeah, it's weird at this point. It's like he could at least like do indie drills or like do something, I feel like, and be like held back. But like the fact that he's like not practicing whatsoever.
I've seen him do some indie drills.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
okay. Well, that's something at least.
It's definitely become a I don't know. Injuries with them are weird in general. It's just I think that, again, like we talked about earlier in this show, that they've made that a focus. We can't let 2022 happen again. I don't think it is happening again yet, but if you want me to like list this, possible outcomes that would lead to the Jaguars not meeting their potential this season, I'd say that'd be one of them.
All right, John, here's the Jaguars' week 1 starting offensive line: Anton left tackle, Ezra left guard, Hainsey center. Book it. Also book Walker Little as a starter, because I think if Cole Van Lanen is ready to go, he's at right tackle, Walker Little's at right guard. If Cole Van Lanen is not ready to go, Walker Little's at right tackle, Wyatt Milam / Patrick Macari's at left guard.
Well, why'd you say book it after Robert Hainsey?
Because like the like left side of the field or the left side of the line.
Okay. I thought you were like saying no, lock in Robert Hainsey.
no. Yeah, you misunderstood that for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right. Will it, even at full strength, be better than the NFL's 16th best offensive line?
That's what you're hoping for. And that was kind of like my point earlier, is that like you can like talk yourself into it being the 13th, 14th, 15th ranked offensive line. That's assuming good health. That's assuming like Anton is more consistent. Like there's general development across the board. There's a lot of ifs and assumptions and stuff like that. And so my best guess, like I just spitballing, I think they'll finish as like the 16th to 20th best offensive line.
I don't quite have the same view, but Brandon Thorne, did his little grading thing for all NFL, starters, offensive linemen. The Jaguars, like across the board, pretty low. I mean, I want to say Van Lanen was like 15th or 16th. Harrison was middle of the pack, and then Ezra, Hainsey, and Macari and Walker Little were all fairly low. I think that I would agree with you. It definitely feels like it wouldn't surprise you if they pick an offensive lineman in April in the first round, right? It's like, does that kind of feel like that's where they need to give Liam like some more guys to work with almost.
Yeah, I think it would be. I mean, maybe Parker doesn't get a contract extension, and then they feel like, oh, let's draft a receiver and just plan on letting Parker and or BT walk, potentially both. But that's a whole other conversation. To answer your question, yes, I think like offensive line would probably be like the first position that I put up if I was thinking of like top draft wish list for 2027.
That was a hornet's nest of takes. If they let Parker walk and draft a receiver. Not even saying it'd be wrong, but I'd love to see the reactions.
Yeah, I think the Zay Flowers contract was a very big deal because like he partly got that money because like the Ravens don't really have a lot else, so they're like we need to like lock him up even if it means paying a little bit extra. Are like the Jaguars aren't necessarily like backed into that corner though. They have BT, they have Travis Hunter, and most critically, they already paid Jacoby Myers, and so like that's some money that you like don't really have available to allocate to Parker Washington. So like if Parker, I think Parker like isn't going to sign, like I'd be shocked if he signed for less than 25 million right now. And I think like you could even make the argument that he should be closer to 30. But like the Jags going to give him $30 million after signing Jacoby Myers and then kind of like lock in their two receivers like that.
In a vacuum, would you sign Parker Washington to $30 million a year?
I think I would because it would be like, what? Yeah. For like when it happened, it would get some like interesting reactions. But in 2 years, maybe even 1 year, it's like no one's really going to like blink, I don't think, if Parker Washington is what we think he is. And I think that because he's like, even if the current regime didn't draft him, like he's homegrown, he like came up with Trevor Lawrence in the system through the mud of the previous regimes. I think it would like he's the type of guy that they would like want to reward and keep around, even if he's not going to be like a Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp type of productive receiver.
What do you mean this regime didn't draft him?
I must be off. This regime did seem to get two pretty good ones though in Josh Cameron and CJ Williams. So that's kind of part of my thing is like, man, they might just start locking and loading and on these day 3 guys because feels like they're pretty solid at it.
No, the Rams are always, so good at finding. Puka and Cooper Kupp are both day 3 guys. I don't know. Gladstone's their former receiver. Maybe they just have that touch at receiver. All right, last one I want to ask you about, Gus. Is Matt Dickerson over Rook or Rororo a thing? Is Rook on the hot seat? Yeah. Is he at what in terms
for like for a roster spot?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I think they can keep 3 guys there. If I was building out a 53
so 5 overall.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Okay. If they only kept 4, who do you think they're keeping? Dickerson or Rororo? Dickerson gets a ton of snaps.
I'll say Dickerson because I do think that like Dickerson like might be maybe not like the most underrated or underappreciated. Like I don't know how to phrase it, but like I think
they
that
really like
Jags fans should probably be like more aware of him than they are because he was like everyone loves to point, me myself included, loves to point to Devon Hamilton when talking about how the Jags had the number 1 run defense last year. Like Matt Dickerson was a really big part of that as well, and he is like. He's not a complete zero in the passing game too. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they like go on the continuity and quote unquote reliance of Dickerson as opposed to like the buying into the flashes that Rook has flashed at various parts of training camp.
Yeah.
But to me, I would try to keep both though.
No, I agree with you. I would try to keep both. There's been so many times in camp when I've looked up and seen the starting defense and just seen Matt Dickerson out there. Definitely more in Rook, I think, to this point. And the fact that Eric Armstead, he gets a couple veteran days off of training camp, that gives both of them more chances to get in there. And listen to camp talk about Matt Dickerson after Wednesday's walkthrough, and he just gushes over the dude. And he was the guy who started last year on the practice squad. Very, randomly just works his way up. into the active roster and ends up starting a couple games for him. So, Gus, I that's all I got on my take tank for this week of training camp. Like we said, next week you and I are going to take in joint training camp practice against the Fighting Carolina Panthers. I want to get you next to Bryce Young. I want to scale him.
I want to throw next to Bryce Young, dude. I mean, I definitely I don't think I could throw a ball farther than like Gardner Minshew, but I feel like Bryce Young's kind of in that tier.
I think Gardner Minshew could outthrow you.
Yeah, he could. You could probably outthrow me.
No, dude, I have a terrible arm. I'm not athletic. Yeah, no, as you can tell, I'm not. Yeah, like even when I played football, I was very much I can remember the plays was kind of my strength as opposed to big, strong, fast. I sucked at baseball. Couldn't.
Dude, I was so bad at baseball, man. I'm pretty good at most sports. Baseball, I could not do.
Did you play golf?
A little bit. My dad works for the PGA Tour, so I would get like pretty solid golf course access. But I never got like super into it. I played tennis in high school. And
I was going to ask you if you played tennis. I knew the answer.
Tennis and ping pong are truly my sports. So that tells you how much of an athlete I actually am. But I still play pickup. I play pickup basketball a lot.
Did you ever watch Marty Supreme?
No. I don't know.
All right. I love cinema, but there's a scene in there where I'm like, yeah, I could have done without. I'm glad I didn't go see this in theaters.
Well, we've now talked about my athletic background, James Gladstone's receiver background. I think we're good to wrap up and have a bunch of new, fresh takes starting next week.
That's right. All right. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Prowler Podcast. My name is John Shipley. This is my friend Gus Logue. We'll be back next time.